Welcome to r/Bestof Redditor updates, where OP's neighbors sneak onto her property when she's not there and paint her house. Our next Reddit post comes from r/legal advice. So, this is probably a really weird question for me to ask, but it's a weird situation and I'm not really sure what I can do. My house is on a corner lot. 2 years ago, a newlywed couple moved into the one house that's next to mine. Right away, they started making weird comments about the color that my house was painted, yellow. And they soon switched to outright demanding that I painted a different color. My house was painted yellow when it was built. I like the color, and there's no bylaw against it or anything. They've called the police on me about it, as well as the city, both of whom told them to pound sand because I hadn't done anything wrong and there was nothing they could do. They also tried suing me in court. The suit was thrown out and they had to pay my legal fees. And they also tried to get our other neighbors together to form a homeowners association in the hopes that eventually I could be forced to paint my house a different color. Our other neighbors also told them to pound sand, and they've basically alienated themselves from everyone else in the neighborhood at this point. I recently had to go out of town for something. I was gone for 2 weeks. When I got back 2 days ago, my house was gray. Seriously, I actually almost drove past it because I was so used to my yellow house. I knew immediately who was responsible, but when I went over and knocked on their door, no one answered. I think my next door neighbors figured out that I was away and not just working when they saw my other neighbor collecting my mail for me. Because I sure as hell never told them that I was going away, and I know my other neighbors hate them too and didn't tell them. My neighbor from across the street came over and showed me pictures that he took of the painting company setting up and doing the work. He said that he and another neighbor called the cops, but the painting company had a valid work order and had been paid, so the police couldn't do anything. He said that since the painters were paid to do it, they had to do the work to avoid being sued. I called the painting company to get a copy of the work order, and it was under the name of Mrs. Jane Smith, and it was paid for in cash. According to them, a red-headed woman and her red-headed husband came into the company to hire them. My neighbors are both redheads. They said they were out of town and they would like their house painted while they were gone. They gave the painting company pictures of my house, taken from the street. I have a surveillance camera in my front and side doors and in my backyard. My neighbors never set foot on my property at any time, so they can't be charged with trespassing. And they didn't do the painting, which was actually a pretty good job. When I called the cops reiterated that since the painters were hired, they had a valid work order and they were paid to do the job, they can't be charged with trespassing because it was reasonable for them not to know. And they were acting in good faith and they didn't cause any physical damage to the house. Also, the neighbors can't be charged with trespassing or vandalism because they didn't come on my property or touch the house themselves. I don't know if I can sue anyone because there was no actual damage or harm done to me or the house. The neighbors still haven't answered their door or shown themselves. I am pissed off beyond belief because I liked my yellow house, and I can't believe how effing crazy they've been. I wish I could show a court or the city council how psycho they've been over this. I want to know if I have any recourse or if I can do something to get them to pay to paint the house back to yellow. Does anyone know what I can do to get them to fix this? I live in Louisiana, by the way. Well, obviously, since this is Best of Redditor updates, there is an update, but I just gotta point out, the funny, really poetic justice revenge would be for OP to hire that same painting company to paint their house yellow. Because hey, apparently it's totally legal, so there's not gonna be any repercussions, so why not? Well, down in the comments, a lot of people are saying that OP can file an insurance claim because their place was effectively vandalized, which I think would probably work. Then, the next day, OP posted an update. I was gonna wait until after the weekend to talk to my lawyer, but there have been further developments, so I had to call him this morning. Beyond the fact that my neighbors have filed another lawsuit against me for the cost of the painters? What? They just confessed! The idiots! Yes, seriously. I can't say anything further about what all has happened on the advice of my lawyer. I'll provide an update once everything is resolved. And this was posted 8 years ago without an update, which means most likely OP forgot to update, or quite possibly the neighbors have murdered OP because they're psychopaths and they're now painting their basement red with her blood because they're nuts. This story is actually so funny. The hard part would have been proving that it's the neighbors who did this, because it's one of those situations where you know who did it, but you got to prove it. But then they filed the lawsuit saying, yeah, we did it, and we want her to pay us for the vandalism that we did. God, what a bunch of idiots. Our next Reddit post is from I Want None. So this all started yesterday when I, a 22-year-old woman, had a date planned with a guy. He ended up not showing, so naturally I texted the group chat about it. My sister is in this particular group chat. I'm guessing that my sister Sarah, who's 26, told her best friend Jay, who's 27, about it because a few minutes later, Jay texted me to ask me if I was okay. I told him, yeah, just a little disappointed since I was pretty excited to try that particular restaurant. He said that he would pick me up at noon the next day so that we could go eat there. I told him that wasn't necessary, but he insisted, so I agreed, thinking nothing of it. Well, today, he took me out as promised, and while we were eating, Sarah FaceTimed Jay. When he didn't answer, she called again and again. He answered the fourth call and asked her what was going on. My sister said that she was just checking up on us and told me to call her later. Later ended up being almost 8 p.m. Jay and I ended up spending the rest of the day together, hunting down some collectible dolls that we both liked and trying different dessert spots along the way. On the way back to my apartment, Jay asked me to change the music on his phone. When I opened it, I saw that my sister had called him about 30 times throughout the day and texted him across multiple different apps. Jay had put his phone on Do Not Disturb after lunch, so it made sense why he didn't see those notifications. Wait, hold on. Are they boyfriend-girlfriend? Hold on, wait. Let me go back. I'm guessing my sister Sarah told her best friend Jay, not her boyfriend, her best friend. Okay, that's what I thought I read. Okay, sorry, back to the story. I just got confused for a second because OP's sister is acting weirdly possessive. Once he dropped me off, I called my sister and asked her if everything was all right. She said yes and asked if I had forgotten to call her back sooner. I told her that I was out with Jay, so I didn't get the chance, and I figured it could wait since she didn't call me. She hung up, and a few minutes later, I got a call from my mom. She sounded angry and told me that I should be ashamed of myself. I said, sure, but why today? According to my mom, Sarah called her in tears, saying that she had caught Jay and I having intercourse in their apartment. What? I was so effing confused. Wait, hold on, wait. Did OP mistype saying best friend when she meant to say boyfriend? Okay, well, I'm sorry. This is just really confusing me. I told my mom that I did not, in fact, have intercourse with Jay and that I didn't even know that Jay and Sarah lived together. I asked her to give me a minute and I called Jay, but he didn't answer. So now I'm here laying on the floor wondering what the hell is going on and putting off another conversation with my mom. Okay, yeah, down in the comments, people are clarifying, yes, this is just a best friend situation. The sister and Jay are not, in fact, dating. So everyone in the comments and OP are just as confused as I am. Anyways, 3 days later, OP posted an update. So I'm not religious or anything like that, but Jesus Christ! Anyways, on my original post, when my mom told me that Sarah and Jay shared an apartment, I said, I didn't even know they lived together. Those were my verbatim words to her because last I knew, Sarah had a roommate and Jay lived alone. I was right. That's still the case. Another thing is that some people are asking why I went out with Jay if I knew that my sister liked him, but I didn't know. Just because I talk to my sister doesn't mean that she talks to me the same way. If I had known, I would have talked to her about it first because I know from past experience that my sister is a jealous person. Anyways, last night was a doozy. Jay called me back, and he said that he was going to stay at a friend's place because he would feel safer with company. I asked him if there had ever been anything romantic between him and my sister. He said the only thing was that he kissed her at a New Year's party at midnight because she was feeling left out. Obviously, I can't confirm if that really is the only thing. He also said that he had never even talked about moving in with Sarah, so he doesn't know why she would say that they were living together. After I spoke with Jay, I called my mom again. She still sounded pissed, but this time I could hear my sister crying in the background and my dad yelling to get our butts over there, as in me and Jay both. I told them I'd come over the next morning. The next morning, I went to my parents' place alone because Jay has a job. As soon as I arrived, my parents started yelling at me. Just the usual stuff, that they knew that I was disrespectful, but that they never expected this from me. How dare you do this to your own sister? You know she already has a hard time. Why make her life harder? My dad even called me a whore? That was fun. I kind of just sat there and did the math on how long it would take me to finish my grad program and flee the country, or at least the state. I wasn't very tuned in until my mom told me that if Sarah lost her job because of me, that I would need to financially support her until she found another one. Huh? That is when I snapped and told them that if they thought that I was going to do that, then they were as delusional as my sister. Her missing one day of work because of a tantrum over something that didn't even happen was not going to get her fired. My dad said that Sarah had been missing work to make sure that Jay wasn't leaving work early to go see me. I found out that my sister also told my parents that Jay was missing a lot of work, so he wasn't making enough money for his bills, so they had been sending her rent money for months. I told them that wasn't true, and I showed them the lease that Jay sent me, where it clearly says the day the lease started and when it ends. The lease also listed Jay's address, which is not the same as Sarah's. My mom brought Sarah out of her room, where she had apparently been this entire time, and told her to explain herself. Sarah said that he probably got that other apartment so that he could be closer to me when he went on those supposed business trips. First of all, Jay is a software developer. I don't know what business trips he would go on. Second, that was a nice way to find out that my sister doesn't even know where I live because Jay's apartment is almost an hour away from mine. I proved that to my parents on Google Maps, and they finally started to believe me. Sarah started crying and calling me a liar. My dad told me that even if what I said was true, I shouldn't have been so hard on Sarah, and that as her sister, I should be helping her out when she's having a rough time like this. I told my dad that I wasn't a therapist, but if she ever decided to get help, I would pitch in. I left after that. There was nothing else I needed to say, and there was no point in waiting for an apology. My dad looked uncomfortable, and my mom was too busy consoling my sister to even notice me leaving. Then, 1 year later, OP posted an update. Jay got a permanent restraining order against my sister. It took a few months and a lot more harassment, but he does finally have that now. As for why my sister was lying to get money from our parents, I couldn't tell you. I don't know where all that money was going, but I'm pretty sure that she lied because she didn't want them disappointed in her. A lot has happened, but to sum up, my sister was arrested for violating the restraining order and breaking into my home. My parents were furious with me? What? With me after I didn't help bail her out. They blame me for her getting what? For her getting arrested and getting fired from the 3 jobs she's had since my last post. Since then, I haven't had any contact with my mom or my sister. My dad called to wish me a happy new year, but that's about it. Also, I finished my master's degree, and after countless job applications and rejections, I finally found a job in my field. It's far away from where I currently live, which is a major plus. I'm sad to be leaving my friends, but I'm also excited to start this new chapter in my life. Man, this is one of the worst examples of a golden child I've ever seen. How is the sister going to break into OP's house and then everyone blame OP because the sister broke into the house? What? Anyways, OP, I'm glad that you're severing these ties and moving on. I think going no contact is the only way to go here. That was r/Bestof Redditor updates, and if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit videos every single day.